On April 2, 2025, the Trump administration announced new tariffs on goods from several countries. These tariffs were significant, ranging from 10% to 49%. The administration argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and reduce the trade deficit. The targeted countries were caught off guard. They expressed concern and dismay. The tariffs marked a new chapter in global trade tensions. The tariffs were met with immediate criticism from businesses and economists. They warned that the tariffs would raise prices for consumers and hurt American businesses. However, the Trump administration remained defiant. It argued that the tariffs were necessary to protect American interests. The world watched nervously as a new trade war began. This was not the first time that the Trump administration had imposed tariffs on other countries. In 2018, the administration imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from several countries. These tariffs were met with retaliation from other countries. The tariffs ultimately hurt the American economy. The new tariffs were even more sweeping than the 2018 tariffs. They covered a wider range of goods and targeted more countries. The Trump administration seemed determined to upend the global trading system. The consequences of this decision remain to be seen.
The Trump administration justified its broad tariff measures by pointing to several key concerns, chief among them reducing the US trade deficit and safeguarding American jobs. Countries in the Indochina region were hit particularly hard, with analysts linking this to their strong trade surpluses with the US and close economic ties to China. The administration also pointed to national security considerations as part of its justification.
The Trump administration's tariffs targeted Southeast Asian countries with trade surpluses and close ties to China. Cambodia and Laos bore the brunt of the new U.S. tariffs, facing steep import duties of 49% and 48% respectively. Vietnam followed closely with a 46% tariff, while Myanmar was hit with 44%. Even Thailand, a key U.S. security treaty partner, wasn't exempt, facing a substantial 36% tariff, and Indonesia received a 32% tariff. Other Southeast Asian nations faced relatively lower tariffs, with Malaysia at 24% and the Philippines at 17%. Singapore experienced the least impact, receiving a baseline tariff of just 10%.
The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration sent shockwaves through Southeast Asia. The region is heavily reliant on trade. The tariffs threatened to disrupt supply chains and damage the region's economies. Governments across the region scrambled to respond to the tariffs. They sought to open dialogue with the Trump administration and mitigate the damage. The initial reaction in Southeast Asia was one of shock and disbelief. Many countries in the region had long enjoyed close economic and security ties with the United States. They were caught off guard by the Trump administration's decision to impose tariffs. They struggled to understand the rationale behind the tariffs. Governments across the region expressed concern about the tariffs. They warned that the tariffs would hurt their economies and could lead to job losses. They also expressed concern that the tariffs would damage the rules-based trading system. They called on the Trump administration to reconsider its decision. Businesses in Southeast Asia were also worried about the tariffs. They feared that the tariffs would make their products more expensive in the United States. They also worried that the tariffs would disrupt supply chains and lead to shortages of raw materials. Some businesses began to look for alternative markets for their products.
Vietnam found itself in a particularly difficult position. The country had emerged as a major beneficiary of the trade war between the United States and China. During Trump's first term, many companies shifted operations from China to Vietnam to avoid U.S. tariffs. Now, they find themselves caught in a similar situation, facing steep duties once again, and uncertainty about how to respond. Vietnam's economy is heavily reliant on exports, and the United States is one of Vietnam's largest export markets. The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration threaten to damage Vietnam's economy. In response to the sweeping U.S. tariffs, the Vietnamese government has actively pursued negotiations with the Trump administration to soften the economic blow. Media reports suggest that Vietnam offered to eliminate tariffs on American imports entirely, urging the U.S. to do the same in return. However, these negotiations have yet to yield any positive results. As a cornerstone of the global manufacturing supply chain, Vietnam has long attracted foreign investment by leveraging its low-cost labor and young, dynamic workforce. The country now serves as a key production hub for global giants like Adidas and Lululemon, and manufactures nearly 50% of Nike's global footwear output.
Thailand faced a similar dilemma. The country is a major exporter of electronics, processed foods, and agricultural products. The United States is one of Thailand's largest trading partners. The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration threatened to damage Thailand's economy. The Thai government is actively working to strengthen its economic ties with the United States, aiming to expand cooperation across a range of key sectors, including agriculture, manufacturing, technology, and energy. By deepening collaboration in these areas, Thailand hopes to cushion the impact of the new US tariffs and reinforce long-term trade stability. In exchange, Thai officials are expected to push for enhanced investment privileges for Thai companies operating in the US, as well as the reduction of existing trade barriers that hinder Thai exports. With the US being one of Thailand's top trading partners, Bangkok sees this strategy as essential not only for minimizing short-term disruption, but also for positioning Thai industries more competitively in the global market.
Cambodia was one of the countries hit hardest by the tariffs. The country's economy is heavily reliant on exports of garments and footwear to the United States. The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration threatened to decimate Cambodia's economy. The Cambodian government responded by appealing to the United States for leniency. The Cambodian government argued that the tariffs would have a devastating impact on the country's economy. The government warned that the tariffs would lead to job losses and could push millions of people into poverty. In an effort to ease tensions and avoid the full impact of the new tariffs, the Cambodian government has moved to lower its own import duties on a variety of American products, including motorcycles and automobiles. At the same time, Cambodia has formally requested that the U.S. government establish a negotiation framework and extend the deadline for implementing the tariffs, hoping to find a diplomatic resolution before the measures take full effect.
Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim announced that Malaysia will take the lead in coordinating Southeast Asia's regional response to US President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. As the current ASEAN chair, Malaysia is committed to presenting a united front, safeguarding open and resilient supply chains, and ensuring that ASEAN's collective stance is expressed clearly and assertively on the global stage. Beyond Southeast Asia, Trump's tariffs are sending shockwaves through the global economy. Financial markets reacted with unease. Major indices dipped, and volatility spiked amid fears of a renewed era of trade instability. Central banks in emerging markets are feeling the pressure, juggling the need to stabilize their currencies and curb inflation, while also considering interest rate cuts to support slowing growth, all at the risk of triggering capital flight. Looking ahead, several key questions remain unanswered. Can ASEAN's diplomatic efforts secure tariff relief? Will global supply chains shift away from Southeast Asia? And how will this latest trade tension reshape international commerce? For now, all eyes are on Washington, as the next steps in the coming weeks will be crucial. With behind-the-scenes diplomacy ramping up and trade strategies shifting quickly, the world is waiting to see what unfolds. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the related video on your screen for more fascinating content. Explore our channel for even more exciting videos. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Globe Gazette for more incredible stories. Your support means everything to us. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.